Hey guys, Larry Chen here. That car was so insane. I'm actually going to do something that we've never done before. We're actually going to showcase someone else's work. Joey actually hired a film crew to follow their whole team during this whole process. They don't have a place to put it, so we're actually going to put it on our channel. But it's a 3-part series, and we're releasing it over 3 days. On top of that, we'll dig into the car to do our normal content. We'll actually feature the car and talk about all the little details, but I hope you guys enjoy the video.
Motorsport in general is very dangerous. It always has been. I think that's the allure. When it comes to Pikes Peak, it's even more of a threat.
The drop-offs, the cliffs, the exposures, the lack of guardrails.
You know, there has been fatalities at Pikes Peak, and that's something we have in the back of our minds while we're building the car, while we're practicing, and while we're racing. It's definitely a very difficult thing to endure.
Like pig, work again. Always with you.
Pikes Peak is special to me, not just because of what I get out of it from an enjoyment standpoint of driving one of the most fun roads in America, but it's where I kind of earned my credits. This is way before social media and how many followers you had. You had to earn your credits by being the best. It's an incredible event, but I owe it a lot as well.
So anything that's been around for 100+ years is very special. So this year is even more of an event than previous years for us. I've been a part of a few wins at Pikes Peak, but this year is special for me because it is 100% an emotion engineering build, completely done in-house with our network of resources and sponsors. So it's very special. It's a passion project of mine, and we are 100% in control of the outcome. I'm always very humble and modest in my approach to things, especially when it comes to racing, because there's so many variables. We want to be prepared. Our goal, obviously, is to win our class and be quicker than everybody else. So we really feel like we'll be one of the top 5 quickest cars on the mountain. And to be honest, if we're in the hunt for, top 5 overall, that means we're in the hunt for an overall. But we're going to keep our sights on a class victory and go from there. This year's build is pretty special. It is 991.1 GT3R. It is the most developed 911 derivative, one of the most successful, the starting point of one of Porsche's best. And then from there, we plan to turn it into a Pikes Peak hill climb car. And that honestly is quite the challenge. We have to deliver a car that not only makes the power at high altitude, but we have the ability to cool it. The first thing we did with this car was gut it. We got rid of everything right down to the tub. We sold the engine. We wanted to start with something that was tried and true, which is the Metzger. And we had John Bray build the engine for us. It's a 3.8 liter twin turbo with mirrored Garrett G35 1050s. We are running CSF and PWR air-to-water intercoolers. We chose that because it's so consistent in any form, but definitely at high altitude when the air density isn't really helping you with any cooling. And we ran the intercoolers inside the car to move the weight forward. Because we switched the engine, we got rid of all the original electronics and wire looms as well. So started from scratch using KSV looms to do the wiring. We use Motec for all the engine controls, the dash, and the PDM. We needed to rebuild the transmission, so we used Villarator Motorsports, but we needed to change the bell housing back to the 991.1 GT3 Cup. It would literally, once we changed the bell housing, just bolt right up. we went to Alcon to develop a brake kit for this car that also gave us the ability to run our own compound for brake pads, which is very important because the temperatures are so low in the morning and at high altitude, you really don't ever have the time to bring temperatures up. So we wanted something that has really great bite in the cold, and then something that can maintain and hold the heat, have that thermal capacity for the mountain. Chassis tuning is what I'm known for. It's what I really love. On this car, we did use our adjustable front inner and outer control arms and our tension arms. We wanted to have full control over adjustability and show everyone that in the most extreme conditions, these control arms hold up just fine. We work with KW almost exclusively. In this case, the car came with KWs, but we sent them back for servicing. So we had them increase stroke for us, 2 inches in the rear and 1.5 inches in the front. The whole reason for that is to keep the wheel on the ground in those really, really aggressive bumps near the summit. Starting with an all carbon fiber bodied car with proper aero, we were in pretty good shape, but we knew that we were going to need a little bit more. As with all of our composite stuff, we work with the son of Cobra. He's absolutely one of the most brilliant artists that I've ever worked with. And we attacked first the front of the car where we weren't running endurance lights, and we removed those and we cut into the front bumper, which reduced frontal area and added more dive plane wing surface area. The next obvious upgrade is the hood. That's a conversion we do for the street cars. So you can run a center-mounted radiator and have increased aero efficiency. We did an RSR style rocker just to keep some of that pressure on the side of the car from bleeding underneath the car, where you want it to stay nice and clean and with as much negative pressure as possible. We then changed the rear quarter glass to carbon air inlets that we designed specifically for this car. Really, the entire inside of the canopy now is an air box. Next obvious thing is the rear deck lid. The rear deck lid has that giant off-road powerboat style scoop, which we found necessary through 3 different tests and 3 different variations to feed our oil cooler. The livery's been a lot of fun. We worked with Wade Devers, who I had worked with in the past with Jeff Zwart in the 935-19 we ran in 2020. So I had asked him if he would do a livery specific for Pikes Peak that would pop against the natural features of the mountain and the natural colors. And then he came up with the very geometric lines on the car that add up to 100 lines or 100 start lines, for the 100th running. So we like it. It tells more of a story, which I think is important because cars are inanimate objects and they do take on a soul, but that's because you give them one. So we achieved 1,000 wheel horsepower at just 19 pounds of boost, and peak torque comes in at 4,000 RPMs. So we have really good power, very efficient, and temperatures are in check.
Working alongside Joey on this project, understanding his emotional commitment, his expertise, his meticulous approach, dedication, and his passion for the project was really what kind of made it right for me. Willing to drive the car, and everything that we produced was exactly that. So tip of the hat to him, to the team, for all their hard effort and work that's been put in, and as a group, what we achieved.
As far as I know, this is the first GT3R twin turbo. This was a dream of Jeff Zwart's, because we built him the Turbo Cup car. And he always knew that, man, it'd be awesome to run a GT3R with the wide body, the lightweight, all the aerodynamics, all of the stuff that make it a very successful race car, but with big power for high altitude. We're pretty proud of it because it has been a very fun project.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. They did an excellent job covering the build. Now Joey and I are actually going to dig in and talk about the exterior of the car. If you guys haven't realized already, we're at Emotion Engineering. My good friend Joey Seeley is here with the Porsche that he and his team built for Pikes Peak 2022. It kind of has that Night of the Movies vibe, like we're talking about something that you guys actually commissioned. You guys did like a 3-part series that was filmed beautifully, looks great, but this is a way for us to actually feature that work so people can actually see all the stuff you guys went through to get to Pikes Peak.
Yeah. We wanted to, tell the story, because the race is just a race. It's more to all of us, and people who are passionate about it. But the story is bigger. It's what we go through, like your video that was so awesome, the behind the scenes of what it takes to even shoot there. So we wanted to get a little bit of behind the scenes of what it takes to build a car to compete there, and just really, showcase our partners' work, our work, and everything it takes to build a winning car.
The last time we were here, we actually had a chance to feature this GT3, which honestly is so fast that it gave me vertigo when I was riding in it. If this thing is faster than that, if the race car, which I'm guessing it is a lot faster,
yeah,
I couldn't even imagine what it would be like to drive this.
It's similar in power, about 900 wheel horsepower to 1,000 wheel horsepower in both cars. This has, motorsport transmission, lighter weight, bigger aero. Yeah, so this is faster.
What did this start life as?
This started life as a retired 991.1 GT3R, so a 2016 GT3R that came over from Asia. It was with a club racer for a little while and then sold it to us for the sole intention of building it into a Pikes Peak car. 2016 GT3R, all carbon body, all the suspension is from KW and solid bushing, Ricardo transmission, all of it is the bones for a fantastic endurance race car. But we got rid of just about all of it and started from scratch to have it be specifically built for Pikes Peak and open class.
What was the condition of the vehicle when it arrived? Was it like a race winning vehicle, or what, did it have like very few hours? What was it like?
It had a few hours, obviously being retired from pro racing and doing a few endurance races, but relatively low enough hours on the engine so that it was worth good money because we sold it. And then the transmission was in good shape and we just sent it away to be inspected and serviced and then changed the bell housing because we went back to the Metzger power plant, in which case the 991.1 Cup still had a Metzger-based engine. So the 991 Cup bell housing is all we needed for this Ricardo transmission. So it was all factory parts that were able to make the transmission and a different engine work.
So then stripped it down, started building it. In terms of what we see on the outside, it's obviously a lot crazier aero-wise than it came. What did you guys work on?
The obvious thing is really the hood. So it had a vented hood before, but this is from the 991.2 GT3R. Which is what we use as the baseline for our conversions for the street cars that we've been working on for quite a while. But also down here, this is where the twin endurance lights were, that we don't need that kind of lighting. We only need lighting for, at sunrise at Pikes Peak. So the headlights did that just fine. We got rid of them and saved weight, but also cut into the front bumper so that we reduced frontal area and gave a little more wing surface area. This was a clear lens right here, and the rest of it was just the same shape as the bumper. So we cut it out. I made it first out of poster board, then made it out of aluminum, and then from there, Son of Cobra made it in carbon fiber and bonded it to the bumper itself. So now it's all one piece. I spent a lot of time coming up with something that was functional but also aesthetically pleasing.
I mean, because the easy way to do this would just be to block this off and make this smooth.
Yeah.
But this actually is more functional in that it scoops more air for this canard.
Right, and then it's also reducing the frontal area, like I said, so it doesn't have to travel around the car quite as far. So reducing drag, all that good stuff. But yeah, it was kind of doubles the size of the dive plane here, and even the bottom side of this top one.
What about the lip size? Is this?
That's original.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the original endurance piece, which is always fun. Everyone says I'm showing off when I, can stand on it and jump on it. When we load it on a trailer and everyone's very careful, I'm like, no, it's, we're good.
So this actually does have wood?
Yeah, that's that jab rock. So it could, carbon fiber is not very abrasion resistant, whereas the this dense wood laminate is good. It'll hold up to hitting the ground. What we did on the side of the car is this shelf-like rocker is not original to the GT3R. It was just a flat, straight piece all the way down the side of the car. But the RSR, the factory race cars, have this shelf that prevents some of the positive pressure from bleeding under the car and creating lift. So we wanted to do something a little more aggressive for as much aero as we could get. And a little added benefit was it acted like a mud flap to protect the rear quarter. The other thing too is these mirrors. We make these 991.2 GT3R wing mirrors for the street cars. So we wanted to throw them on this car as well, just to showcase more of our product.
It's pretty cool because you work on race cars and you prep race cars for the track, but most of your clientele have you work on their street cars. And you actually develop these parts that work on both race car and street car.
Yeah, my background in Austin and everything I've ever done has been racing. So when we stepped away from racing, now it's club race cars or weekend warriors, track day guys. It's fun for us to bridge the gap between race cars and street cars and have them be honest to goodness dual purpose cars, something you can drive on the street and on the track. The wing is the original. We made new wing uprights and the wing support, but only because of trying to free up airflow to get to that oil cooler in the back, because it used to have a big carbon fiber support that blocked a lot of the airflow through the deck lid for us. So we changed that. But other than that, no, the diffuser's the original, the big fenders are original.
It's crazy to me how wide this is. I cannot believe that this is a factory race car from back then.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
They're huge. What shows it best is the front fender, when you're down low and you can see almost all of the tire.
Oh, yeah,
sticking out there, as it's vented from the bottom and vented from the top.
Huh.
But the other thing is just that, the air inlets.
Because this is normally where they fill the fuel.
No, this is. They have like a transponder there and the air jacks, and stuff like that in a Lexan window. So it's still a window. Mm-hmm. We don't need it, and we didn't need the air jack because we're not doing pit stops. We did the air jack, but we moved it to a less obvious place.
Yeah, like on the 935.
Exactly.
It has the air jack, and also I think you can add
the water.
Yeah,
for the intercooler sprayers. Okay. So we just turned them into large NACA ducts that blew air to the air filters, for the turbos right there in the back of the car. It looks like it's pointing at the intercoolers, but the intercoolers are air to water, so they don't need any airflow.
So is there a reason why you guys started with this chassis? I'm sure there was plenty of options when you were thinking about doing a build for Pikes Peak. Is it based off of your previous experience?
Yeah, with previous experience, we ran the Cup car, for Jeff Zwart and built the turbo Cup car, and that was very successful. It was clearly at high altitude, you need horsepower, and the only way to really effectively get horsepower is turbocharging. So we knew that formula worked, but even Jeff really wanted, he would just joke with me in, candid phone calls. He'd be like, oh, it'd be so awesome to do that with a GT3R because it's got more aero. This is a full flat bottom car with a diffuser, splitter, rockers, and they're much lighter. Mm-hmm. Even the tire, like you said, it's a huge tire front and rear, a 325 front and rear. You can't fit that on a Cup car.
What's the widest you would be able to fit on a Cup car?
We had a 300 on the rear, and on the front, I think we ran a 270, and this is a 325, so significantly more tire.
It's insane to me that it's 325 squared. That is crazy.
Yeah, it's
that
crazy.
Is so much tire.
Yeah, and you need it. You really need it in the front. You're pointed uphill most of the time. You've got a lot of low speed, hairpins. So as much front grip as you can have. Obviously, we need as much rear too, but it's all about getting the balance. So the maximum of whatever we can get, and that's what a GT3R is. It's the maximum of a 911. To be completely honest. So that's why we chose it.
What about the rear bumper? Is this modified at all?
Yeah. So the one, this wet layup, which is, nothing that we're proud of, but it was functional. This scoop is the air outlet for that oil cooler on the back of the car.
Got it.
So that wasn't there, obviously. and we opened up the bottom of the bumper wherever we could, just to let any bit of exhaust heat or ambient engine heat out from behind the bumper. Because that's the other killer at Pikes Peak is cooling. You can make force the horsepower, but that generates heat. So a very, very large oil cooler with proper ducting, and big radiators and water sprayers, all that stuff is crucial.
Speaking of oil, that's a very good transition to our sponsor. Pennzoil really wanted us to do this project because they wanted to get this content out there. You guys actually partnered up with them pretty last minute. What's the story behind that?
They have a long-standing relationship with Reyes Millen in various forms of racing, but when Reyes agreed to drive this car, they were on the fringes and really waited to commit until we had this locked down. Once we got through testing, and there was a lot of hoopla and excitement around the 100th running of Pikes Peak, and they said, can we be part of it? So we were thrilled to have them join us.
Mm-hmm. So I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode. See you guys in the next episode. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to support us directly, go to LarryChenPrints.com. I print and sign every single one of these. This is the perfect gift, or it's the perfect piece of art for your wall.